Hello, this is Chris, and I'm a librarian here at Washington University in St. Louis, and this is a recorded workshop of our Zotero Find It, Save It, Cite It. So welcome, and we're glad you're here and have decided to watch this, and that you're here to learn a little bit more about using Zotero, which is a wonderful citation management software. And so before we go any further, let me tell you just a little bit about what I'm hoping you're going to learn today. Our goals for today are, well, first of all, that you're going to install the program, the Zotero program and the connector, that you will begin adding to and organizing your Zotero library, that you will create a bibliography of your own, and that you will know where to get some personal assistance. Okay, so that being said, as I said before, Zotero is one of the many reference managers available out there, and it's obviously then designed to store the things you want to keep track of for writing when you write your papers and need to make bibliographies and so forth. And that could be articles and books, websites, but then you can also use Zotero then to collect them, not only collect them, but organize them and duplicate them and share them with groups, and it's a robust product. And even when I say product, that implies that there's a cost to it, but that's not true because it's free up to a certain point. I believe it's 300 megabytes, and then there are some plans where you will have to pay beyond that. So I guess you would say it was a freemium product. But it's nice to know that something that's so wonderful to use is actually free at the beginning, up to a good sizable amount. So let me get started here. One other feature I want to mention for sure is that Zotero also allows you to include in-text citations as you are writing your paper, and then it is also, as you do that, creating a dynamic bibliography kind of in the background as you do that. And they work together, and if you had to go back and make some edits to the paper, change your citations, the bibliography will update as you do those. So that's a really great feature of Zotero. There will be some time for you to work live on the website, and I will be showing you some things live, but there are some slides I'd like to show in preparation for that moment, just so you know what you're looking for, and I think it will make that part easier. So after you download the piece of Zotero software, this is what your Zotero library will look like after you fill it up. And so this is mine. It's got a lot of things in it, and you can see it's got a 3-pane organization, and so over here on the left are different projects. So each of these folders, or each of these collections, you could say, represents a different project. And you can see right here under reading list I have some subfolders, and so you can create subfolders and create a hierarchy. So this highlighted folder, so Wall Street Journal book reviews, that's the one that's highlighted, so that tells you that right here are the items within that folder. And so here you see some minimal information about each item that is in that collection, just who wrote it, and then the date I added it, the date it was published. And then this is the item that's highlighted here, small moves, big change. And then we get over here to this micro view pane, and we see much more. Here's where we get the detailed view of the item, and it says info. And so we have the title, the author, a full abstract, and as we would scroll down, that's where we see the publisher, the year, and the ISBN, and the other bibliographic information that you would want from any book or article or web page. etc. Okay, so once you're in that library, there are a few tools that will help you organize it. So you saw some of them already. You saw that I had a folder system. And so here's some toolbars that are really important. So right up there, the folder with a little green plus sign, that is how you would add a folder. And you're going to be doing that over and over. If you had to add a manual record, you would do that right here. I'm hoping that you won't have to do a whole lot of that, because the whole idea with one of these products is that it automates some of that adding of those records for you. And what else do I want to show you? Oh, this is an important one. Way over here, you can see this tiny little icon right over here that looks, I think it's supposed to look like maybe like a little window. Okay, that's an important one because it allows you to add other columns to sort your records by. And one of the ones that is not a default setting that I think is really important to add is this date added column. And if we go back and look at my library, we can see that's one of the ones that I've added. And I think that's a great one to put in there, because then you can always sort your results to see which ones you've most recently added, and it brings them to the top. And so if you've kind of gotten disorganized, then you'll see what's most recent and be able to put them in the right place. And I should have said this, I guess, a little bit earlier, but although you can organize, within these folders, everything that you pull in is also going into my library. So like my library is this master list of every item that is contained within your Zotero library. So that's like your big backup collection of everything. And then from there you can put your items into various folders. Okay, so I think those are all the important tools I just wanted to highlight for the organizing. But now, of course, the question is, well, that's great, but how do I get these items, these articles and books and their bibliographic information, how do I get those things and their data into my library? Well, what you need are these save icons. And this is where like the second piece of software that you have to download comes in. I don't know if you remember, but under the goals for today, the first one was install the Zotero program and connector. So what the program brings us that library piece, but the connector, the browser connector, is what brings us the save icons, which these are the things that you can click to bring in the metadata for whatever you're looking at and to harvest that and bring it into your library. So if you are looking at a book, you're going to see a little book icon, and you'll just be able to click that, and that information will pull into your Zotero library. However, if you're looking at an article, so here I'm looking at a JSTOR article, and the little icon changes to a piece of paper, and then I would click that little icon, and all the information from the article, and sometimes the article itself, will be pulled in. It depends on the quality of the metadata that Zotero can see. That depends on what it's able to pull in. So the data that it pulls in is only good as the data that is behind the particular item. So one other example, I'm looking at a New York Times article, little roll of newspaper, save icon. And now I'm looking at a set of results on a screen versus just one. And then I see a little folder icon. And so when I click that, I get an option to choose multiple results to bring into my library. So that's the second piece of software that you're going to be downloading. So when I turn you loose to go to the Zotero site, remember that the downloading process, there's 2 steps. Okay, so to reiterate, we're going to take a break. You're going to go to Zotero.org and you're going to download the Zotero program and the browser connector. And I'm going to join you there in just a moment. So you can see my screen. Just one word of warning. Right now, there's a little bit of an issue with Safari and a compatibility problem with Safari and Zotero. So I can tell you that there's a beta version of the browser connector that was just released very recently, and the Zotero is trying to resolve this problem. So hopefully you will be able to resume your use of Zotero with Safari if that's your favorite browser. But for now, you're limited to using Chrome or Firefox or Edge. So, okay, so go ahead and get to Zotero.org and start this downloading process. Okay, so this is what you saw, I hope, when you were downloading. If you were using a PC, you saw Zotero 5.0 for PC, probably. And if you were over here, your connector, if you were using the Firefox browser, this connector option looked like had the Firefox image. You can really have as many connectors as you use browsers. So if you use Chrome, you got to download the Chrome browser, but if you also use Firefox, you will have to download that connector as well. But I know I've said this several times, but just make sure that you've downloaded both. But you'll find out right away if you have not downloaded the connector, because you won't have those save icons in your toolbar up there by the URL bar. You may have gone in and added some records already if your capture icons or your save icons were up there like they should have been. But before we go any further, I want to point something out. Now, you may have noticed that sometimes the data that gets pulled in is not perfect. Sometimes I've had the author's name pulled in all caps. And sometimes, like with these abstracts, they're huge and I really have no interest in them and I don't want them, so I delete them. Sometimes, they will only have part of the title and not the part after the colon. So, as I said before, the reason this happens is that is what the metadata looks like behind the item. So therefore, that's what Zotero pulls in. And so I encourage you to fix this as you see it, because what will happen if you don't fix it is when you go to make a bibliography, the bibliography will just replicate these sloppy errors in your bibliography, and they're going to be a pain to fix. So if you can correct them as you go, that would be for the best. And you will see these. This is over, when you're the rightmost pane, and you can edit any of these. You can edit any of those. You can get rid of information. You can add in information. And another nice thing over here that I think people don't use as much as they should is the notes option. And you can add in as many notes as you would like. And so I added one in here already. Like, I want to use the graphs in Chapter 7. So that's just a word of warning to you as you go out and add in some items. So what I'd like you to do now is, and then we'll pause, is go out there in the world of the internet and add, 5 or 6 items to your library, but also make at least one folder. And once you've added these items, don't just let them remain in your library. Take some and put them in that folder that you create. And you can make it be a real folder for something that you're interested in, or you can make it be, just sort of a test folder. It doesn't really matter, but need something that you created in addition to the My Library where everything sits. And I obviously wanted to emphasize this business with the tools, because here's yet one more slide about that. And here's where we're breaking for the going out to add items to your library. So have fun. Okay, so welcome back, and I hope you were successful, and there are plenty of options for assistance that I will show you at the end of our presentation here. And right now, what I'd like to show you are some alternate entry options aside from the save icon that you will probably end up using at some point. So actually, well, the first one is the save icon that you end up using when the other ones don't really work very nicely. You can see it up here. When you see a save icon that isn't very, demonstrative of what it is, you're going to see that it says Save to Zotero. It's a web page with a snapshot. So that's telling you, okay, I am not able to see very good data behind this item that we're looking at. I can only pull in minimal information, so that's what I'm going to do. So that's what that image is telling you. And so basically, the good thing is that it is still pulling in some information so you can get back to the thing that you're trying to cite. So good. Not good is that there's just not that much information there. So you see kind of a sparse record. So it's pretty important that you take a look at the page, or I don't know, article or whatever it is that you're looking at, and add in the information that's missing that's really important. Sometimes it won't pull in the author's name, for example. So make sure you catch the answer, the information that you need manually. Another thing you might end up doing sometime is using this little magic wand to enter an item by ISBN or another type of standard number, like a DOI from an article. And then that you can do that, and it will pull in the information that goes with that item. So that would be a great option to use if you have that. And what will likely happen at some point, depending on what you have to cite, will be something that you do have to enter manually, and you do that with the little plus sign. And when you see the down caret there, you will see over here you're going to get all these options for what you can enter. And so what happens here is that box of fields will change depending on what you're looking at. So let's say you went to a conference, or there might be something for a live session there, or you went to an archive and saw some manuscripts, or you did an interview with somebody. So you've got lots of options for manual entries of specific types of items that you might cite. Okay. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about bibliographies, which is something that everyone is very excited about using. Okay, there are two types of bibliographies that Zotero can make for you. The first one I refer to as a static bibliography. And they're pretty simple. This is the type of bibliography that you would just want to make from a list of a collection that you have and paste at the end of a paper, or paste into an email and send to an advisor or to a colleague. And you can see, here's a little clip of some of the folders that I had that you saw with an earlier screenshot. And this is all you have to do. You highlight the one that you were interested in. So I highlighted my 1939 to 1945 folder, and you either will right click or control click depending on if you're using a Mac or a PC, and you'll get this new dialog box, and all you have to do is choose Create Bibliography from Collection. After you've done that, you will get a choice of citation style that you would like to use, how you would like to copy it, and if you're just going to paste it into a Word document, what you want to do, or into an email, like something like that, you want to choose paste copy to clipboard, and then you just paste it into your document, and it will be a properly formatted document, and it's quite amazing. But even more amazing is the dynamic bibliography. And that is the one where I mentioned this at the beginning of our session, where you can be writing a paper and be popping in text citations, and then the bibliography will be created as you are writing your paper. So when you have installed Zotero, there's a plugin, like let's say a word processing plugin that is also installed. And the word processing plugin works for Microsoft Word, for Google Docs, and for LibreOffice. So no Pages. It does not work for Pages. Someone usually asks me that. You can check to make sure that it installed properly if you open up a Microsoft Word document and check your ribbon right here, and you will see that now you have an option for Zotero, and when you click it, you will get this little set of tools, I guess is a good word for it. And you've got add or edit citation, add or edit bibliography, and those are the two that we're going to talk about briefly today. Okay, I've got a quick little demo of the Write and Cite with the dynamic bibliography. And I can tell you right now, there are a couple things that are not going to come up very nicely in my recording window, but I think it'll still work. So let's say I want to insert a citation right there. I will go up I have Zotero open at the bottom of my, you can see you have to have Zotero open for this to work. So there it is, and I bet you all have that open. So I've got the cursor where I want it, and I'm going to go up to Add, Edit Citation. And there is my, my dialog box, I guess you want to call it, for choosing the citation I want. Now you'll notice that I've got this, like something that looks pretty similar to my library. When you go to do this for the first time, yours might look like a big single box with a Z in it. What I'm looking at right now is I think they call it the classic citation dialog box. And it's a choice, and I can show you how to pick it, but right now I'm going to show you why I like it. So if I want to, let's say I want to cite something from, from the English Links, College in Prison, and then there's a spot right here for me to add the page number I want to add. So it's on page 431. It's a pretty long piece. And then I will say OK. So it's from Carpowitz 431, and I want to add one more. Let's do this here. So add, edit citation. Add this one from, let's see if there's something in here. No, that's no good. Why? I'm having trouble here. Okay. So I'm going to use the Handbook of Research Methods, page 34. Okay. So I've got two references there. And now if I'm ready to, it's a pretty short piece, but I'm ready to add my bibliography. You can see there it is. And I had like some sloppy citations that I didn't fix, so I've got this URL that I don't want. So, but you get the idea. And imagine that you're doing a long paper, and this is cooking up a bibliography that has many, many citations, and it's then reflecting changes I've made in the paper. It's pretty impressive when you're doing it with something I mean, it's kind of impressive when you're doing it with something that's this short, but it's certainly impressive when you're doing it with a longer piece with many more citations. Okay, I mentioned that there were a couple preferences I wanted to show you, and one of them being the citation edition dialog box. And the way you get to choose your preferences is if you go up to the very top of your screen. If you're using a Mac, you go up to the word Zotero and pull down Preferences. If you're using a PC, I believe it's under Edit, and choose Preferences. And if it's not under Edit, look under File. But I'm pretty sure it's Edit. And then the result will be a box that looks like this. And we're not going to look at all of these right now, but the ones I'm going to point out to you are these. So first of all, let's go over to the one that says Cite. And you will want to choose, let's go to first word well, no, let's stay here. All right, with styles, here's where you want to select your default citation style. You can change it at any time, but go ahead and select it here. You don't have to say yes or save or anything like that. And my window got messed up here a little bit. And now try word processors, and you can see it should say here install Microsoft Word add-in. And so it probably does say that, but if your add-in never gets messed up, this is where to look, under Cite in Preferences. And right here is where you can switch over to the classic citation dialog. And I can tell you why I use it, because the main reason is that I like that drilling down to get to the item. But there's a second reason, and the second reason is that it makes it so much easier to enter a page number. So maybe if that doesn't matter to you with the way that you do in-text citations, you may be very happy with that single box. But for me, this is incredibly helpful. And the other important setting I want to show you is under Sync. And one of the things you're going to do kind of as a going away homework assignment is to create your Zotero.org cloud account. And once you have done that, you want to make sure that your data syncing is set up. And this box is checked to sync automatically to your account that you create. And so what this gives you is the ability to sync everything that you do and back it up to your account in the cloud. And then if you ever had an account, if you ever decided to work on another computer, you could then back that up to the cloud and get that on the other computer that you worked on. So if you had like a work computer and a school computer, and you wanted to back them up from each place, if you make sure that sync automatically is clicked, that process will happen automatically, so that if you've worked at school, those changes will have been made on your other computer. And those are all the preferences I'm going to highlight at this time. I suggest taking a look at all of those when you have a chance. Okay, we are just about to the end here. So this has just been a quick overview of Zotero. It's a very powerful tool, and there is much to learn. This has just been a scraping of the surface. So I recommend playing with it for a few weeks, and I imagine other questions will come to you. And so it's at that point where you might want to go and talk to somebody else about Zotero and say, hey, these questions have come up. But between now and then, here's a couple things that you should do. So one I already mentioned. So go to Zotero.org and create your account. And you will see create an account up in the kind of top right-hand corner where you often will see that option on websites. And then the second one, once you're there, is take a look at Zotero's Quick Start Guide under documentation, because it is very, very good and very thorough, easy to read, logical, and I think you will find it incredibly useful, and it will cover many more things than we've been able to. Okay, and last but not least, here are some other sources where you can get help. So first of all, we have a very nice guide on our website, and the address is libguides.wustl.edu/Zotero. And really, you can find that from our website. If you just typed in Zotero into the site search, it would come up. And we also have this ever-present chat bubble now. It's red. They're right there at the top. And you can always chat with us 24/7 and say that you're looking for the Zotero guide. Here's a little illustration of part of the Zotero guide. And one feature it has is there's a make an appointment down here for Zotero help. And that will connect to the schedules of about 3 or 4 people in the library who have some facility with Zotero, and they'd be happy to help you. And since there are 3 or 4 people you're looking at 3 or 4 people's calendars, there will probably be somebody who's available pretty soon. So there are several places you can get help. And then I'm your presenter here today. I'm down there at the bottom. I'm Chris Helbling, and you can see my email address and phone number right there. And I hope you've learned a little bit about Zotero and are ready to give it a try on your own. And please don't hesitate to contact us.